and actually using business models to help people to appreciate and accept Krishna consciousness. And today we will continue with our topic. And there is one very important angle to address, which is, even though maybe not directly connected, but nevertheless is very important for our self-discovery, and that is the topic of empowerment. Because unless we are empowered in our service to Krishna, it will be very difficult for us to make any significant difference either in our own lives or in the lives of other people. And so, therefore today we will start with that subject, and of course our broader theme is, in self-discovery, is to act in Krishna consciousness according to our natures. And if we use our nature in the service of the Lord, then we can be in the strongest position and very effective. And so today we will be addressing one topic which is really essential for our empowerment, and that is the fundamental topic in Krishna consciousness. And one time Srila Prabhupada asked the devotees, what is the foundation of our philosophy? And of course devotees gave so many answers. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devotional service to Him is perfection of life. Chanting Hare Krishna is the way how to achieve that perfection. Prabhupada said, yes, it's all good, but this is not the foundation. And what is the foundation? That is the topic Srila Prabhupada dedicated most of his classes to. And anyone who listened to Prabhupada classes knows what is the topic he spoke more than anything else. That's right. Who said that? Very good. Yes, that we are not the body, but we are spirit soul. And if we not only understand, but also apply this subject practically, that will actually very seriously contribute to our empowerment. Let me see the show of hands. How many of you would like to be empowered in your service to the Lord? Okay, good. And so, as we know, and it is very interesting to actually contemplate on this subject of empowerment and the topic that we're not the body, but spirit soul. And actually, not only understanding, but believing in it, that you're not the body. And I call this subject, believe in yourself. And so believing in yourself apparently comes first, even before believing in Krishna as the Supreme Lord. If you follow the logic of Bhagavad Gita, that chapter 2 is explaining that we are not the body, but the soul. But Krishna only speaks about himself as the Supreme Lord, starting from chapter 4. And so, as we know, the whole series of verses in chapter 2 dedicated to this subject, and we'll read one of the concluding verses, which is text 29. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschidyanam, ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanya, ascharyavat chaina manyasinoti, sutvapyanam vedana chaiva kaschit. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. Purport. Since Gita Upanishad is fully based on the principles of the Upanishads, it's not surprising to find these parallel passage in the Katha Upanishad 1-7. Shravanayapi bahudbhiyanaya alabhya shinvantopi bhavayana vidu. Acharya not understand the wonders of the individual atomic spark in spirit, even though it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge who imparted lessons even to Brahma, the first living being in the universe. Owing to a gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how such a small particle can become both so great and so small. So men look at the soul proper as wonderful either by constitution or by description. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification that they have very little time to understand the question of self-understanding, even though it's a fact that without this self-understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. Perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make a solution to the material miseries. Some people who are inclined to hear about the soul may be attending lectures in good association, but sometimes, owing to ignorance, they are misguided by acceptance of the supersoul and the atomic soul as one without the distinction of magnitude. It is very difficult to find a man who perfectly understands the position of the supersoul, the atomic soul, their respective functions and relationships, and all other major and minor details. And it is still more difficult to find a man who has actually derived full benefit from knowledge of the soul and who is able to describe the position of the soul in different aspects. But if somehow or other one is able to understand the subject matter of the soul, then one's life is successful. The easiest process for understanding the subject matter of self, however, is to accept the statements of the Bhagavad Gita spoken by the greatest authority, Lord Krishna, without being deviated by other theories. But it also requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice, either in this life or in the previous ones, before one is able to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna can, however, be known as such by the causeless mercy of the pure devotee and by no other way. So, very quickly, let's reflect on what we know from Prabhupada's books, which are translations of the most important Vedic literature, right? Because Prabhupada gave us Bhagavad Gita, which is the essence of Mahabharata, and the book which follows Mahabharata historically, which is Srimad Bhagavatam, which is an elaboration on Bhagavad Gita. And as we know, Mahabharata was created by Srila Vyasadeva to help common people to understand four Vedas, right? and, of course, the application of the essence of Vedic knowledge in our times, which is Chaitanya Charitamrita. And so, this is the perfection of the Acharya. He makes very difficult subject matter very easy to understand. And so, we know from Vedic teachings, from Srila Prabhupada's teachings, what is the difference between us as individual soul and between Krishna, who is the super soul. What is, how are we same and how are we different with the Supreme Lord? What is in common with us, between the Supreme Lord and us? Qualities, yes. Qualitatively, we are the same as God. In the same way as even a drop of the ocean is chemically the same, has the same chemical constitution as the entire ocean. But we are different with the Lord in quantity. The Lord is infinitely great and we are infinitesimally small. So that's the difference. The Lord is unlimited and we are limited. So if we analyze our limits as the spirit soul, who is the greatest living entity in the universe? Lord Brahma, yes. So that is the limits of the power of the individual soul. So you can only be the master of one universe. That's the maximum we can afford. The Lord is the master of unlimited universes in the material world, and He is also the master of the spiritual world. So we're very limited, but still, if we compare our position to Lord Brahma's position, we can understand that we have a lot of potential untapped. And it is very interesting that some time ago, in the previous centuries, there has been the human potential movement started. And it was based on scientific research which showed that humans have huge potential, untapped. And actually, most of the people, they only use 2 or 3% of their potential. And outstanding people use between 5 and 10% of their potential. Pretty much 90% not used at all. And so we can understand that all this potential lies where? In the body or the soul? In the soul. So if we realize ourselves as spiritual beings and not the body, that potential can be released and used in the service of the Lord. And again, looking at Srila Prabhupada's example, I'm thinking that Srila Prabhupada showed such an impressive example that basically none of us have any excuses left. Like many people say, or many devotees say, oh, I am too old for doing something big for Krishna, right? I'm already 70, right? For example, 70 is considered to be pretty old, right? Well, Srila Prabhupada showed us the example that even the age cannot be the excuse, right? Because he turned 70 on the ship, going for his mission. And Prabhupada could easily say that real life begins at 70. Right? Because it's after 70 that things started happening for him. Etc. So neither age nor health concerns. Did Srila Prabhupada have health issues? He did. Numerous health issues. Lack of money, lack of manpower, nothing, right? He had zero. And he showed what can be achieved if you really believe that you are not the body, but you are spirit soul, and when the spirit soul is connected to Krishna in devotional service, spirit soul can manifest great powers. And so Bhagavad Gita describes spirit soul in negative terms, that there are many verses which say that it cannot be destroyed, it cannot be burned, etc., etc., etc. Many things which are not related to the soul. But this verse, which we read today, describes the spirit soul in positive terms. Soul, some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. So what is the feature of the soul this verse indicates or repeats? Amazing. Okay, if I ask you for the show of hands, how many of you agree that you are not the body, but spirit soul? Please raise your hand. Okay. Everyone agree. So according to this verse, if you recognize yourself as spirit soul, you are amazing. So we have many amazing personalities in here, in this room. And because this is the foundation of spiritual understanding, and again, it is connected to the first purpose of ISKCON, right? Because this is one reason why Srila Prabhupada did not specify any religious affiliation to the first purpose of ISKCON. There is no Krishna mentioned, not even God mentioned in the first purpose of ISKCON, because Srila Prabhupada believed that spiritual knowledge and spiritual practice can and should be common platform for all thoughtful people, for all intelligent people, and that he described. And this is what he expected Krishna consciousness movement to create, that common spiritual platform for all intelligent people. And so he was also very actively engaged in interfaith relations throughout his preaching, because he was looking at the opportunities for collaboration and cooperation of faiths, and he spoke about it openly. He said to other faith leaders, let's work together to create God-conscious society. For Prabhupada, it didn't matter which tradition, which religion. He wanted God-conscious society, and he also explains that in Srimad Bhagavatam and in many other places. And so, following in his footsteps, my spiritual master, he is regularly involved in interfaith dialogue, in interfaith relationships, and I'm trying to follow their footsteps in a humble way. And it's quite amazing. I've learned a lot of valuable lessons from my interaction with other faith traditions and other faith leaders, based on a simple concept that there is only one Supreme Lord, and different traditions are different stages on the same path, back to Godhead. And in one such tradition, which is a Christian tradition, but very open, and they have the headquarters in Los Angeles, California. And devotees told me about that church, and they were very enthusiastic about it. They said it's very interesting and very powerful atmosphere. So I visited there, and I was really impressed. And then even one very influential Srila Prabhupada disciple, he said that even he was impressed by the atmosphere and how they conduct their services. And I was thinking we could learn something important from them. And then I looked at one element, what they do, and I actually realized why it is so powerful. And of course I could be telling you theoretically so many things, but what I wanted to offer you is to have practical experience based on what they're doing, and I've done it all over the world. And even though we cannot fully kind of reproduce this same atmosphere, but nevertheless all the devotees are saying that it is very effective. So any of you want to have spiritual experience right here, right now? Yes? Okay. So for this purpose, you don't have to do anything special. I will just request you to find some devotee in here and sit in pairs facing each other, and then I will request you to repeat few words after me, and that's all. Nothing special. Yeah? Everyone's happy with that? Suggestion? Okay, please find someone and sit facing each other. You wouldn't have to look at me, because you would only have to repeat the words, and you would have to look at each other, facing each other. All right? And please turn off your mobile, or put your mobile phones on silent modes. Make sure that they don't disturb us. So, and the important thing is that you repeat these words not mechanically, but try to do it in a conscientious way. The more consciously you will repeat those words, the better the effect will be. So everyone's ready? If those who are ready, say Hari Bol. Okay, good. So I edited the text a little bit to suit our situation. So please look at each other and say, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to ISKCON Melbourne.
Welcome to ISKCON Melbourne.
I recognize you.
I recognize you.
I see who you truly are.
I see who you truly are.
You are the spiritual image.
You are the spiritual image.
In the very likeness of Krishna.
In the very likeness of Krishna.
A unique emanation.
A unique emanation.
Of beauty.
Of beauty.
Love.
Love.
And divine intelligence.
And divine intelligence.
Indeed.
Indeed.
You are one.
You are one.
Of a kind wonderful.
Of a kind wonderful.
One of a kind.
One of a kind.
Magnificent.
Magnificent.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Unfolding genius.
Unfolding genius.
And today, we will get to celebrate your very existence.
Your very existence.
We are celebrating
We are celebrating
your infinite potential
your infinite
We appreciate you. And we thank Krishna for you. Welcome to ISKCON Melbourne. Hare Krishna. Okay. Good. That's about it. It seems like the whole atmosphere has changed. Yeah? Do we have second microphone? Anyway, if anyone wants to share your thoughts or feelings or realizations, you can just speak louder so that everyone can hear. Anyone wants to share how that made you feel?
I've done this exercise before without saying any words. It was very powerful. Because when you are saying, I know saying is not right, but like when I was saying, I was not feeling his feeling. But without saying anything, it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, what is it, dangerous, very insert into others.
Okay, yeah, helps us to connect. Very powerful experience. Anyone else wanted to share? Yes?
You have infinite potential.
Okay, infinite potential, that's a very good one. Anyone else?
Because we are part of him.
Yeah, you can feel that you are part of Krishna.
For me, it was theoretically, like I have read it so many times and I believe this statement so many times, but actually looking at someone's eyes and repeating this out aloud made me appreciate it much more in some way.
Okay, yeah, it helps us to put in practice what we know theoretically.
It reminds us how we should deal with everyone who comes to the temple, how we should treat them.
Okay, good, yes. Helps us to treat people better, devotees better.
It gives us an opportunity to overlook the differences among us and appreciate each other's presence.
Okay, helps us to appreciate and overlook the differences.
Can we offer some prayer to the Lord?
We can offer some prayer to the Lord.
Yes. Shantakaram Bhilakshayanam Padmaham Suresham Vishwadharam Bhagan Sadusham Megmanam Swamam Lakshmi Kantam Kamananam Yogi Vidyananyam Vande Vishnu Haram Sarvasvam Yam Brahma Varne Visuddhimarta Astunvanti Divya Sevadevi Shankva Tumormuste Gayanti Yam Samara Jana Vastita Katen Mansa Pashyanti Yam Yogam Yasyantam Na Vidu Surasegana Devaya Tasmai Namah.
Haribo. So, anyone else? Yes.
Positive reinforcement. It's positive reinforcement.
Positive reinforcement. Very good. Yes.
It felt like we are like a drop in the ocean.
Okay, good. Yes.
We could find good qualities in the other person.
Okay. Helps us to see good qualities in others.
There's one more thing I would like to share, that when I was speaking, I sort of realized that what I'm saying to the person in front of me actually also applies to me.
Okay, very good.
And
Yeah, seeing others as spirit souls, we see ourselves as spirit souls. Very interesting realization. All right.
That shows us that we should not envy anybody at all.
Okay, helps us to become free from envy.
We should see Krishna in everybody's heart.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Imatsara, Imatsara.
Good. Anyone else? Yeah.
Nice to say that you're welcome in Melbourne Centre at the start and at the end. It reinforces that.
Mm-hmm.
It's said at the start and at the end.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Very nice.
Yeah, I was thinking that the interesting point is that even though it was done kind of mechanically, I was saying the words, you were repeating the words, even then it worked, right? Can you imagine if it is not done mechanically? How much better it would work? So let me see the show of hands. How many of you want to see this kind of sharing done not mechanically but from the heart, spontaneously? Okay, very good. All right. If you all agree, you have a chance right here, right now. If you see any devotee here being amazing and worth of your appreciation, you can actually speak up and say what you really appreciate, what really impresses you about some devotee in here. Yes.
I felt that bit of it today, but we don't say out loud. That's what I felt. When I was saying, it's like I felt like laughing because this is how we treated everyone, but we didn't say out loud.
Yeah, we're not saying. So this is what we suggest, that now you have the chance to actually say it out, loud. Yes.
I want to say about Prabhu, that even in such an age, Prabhu has such an enthusiasm to come and hear. I wish I could also have that and continue having that desire to hear about Krishna.
Ribo. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes. So nobody else seeing anything good in anyone else. Okay, Prabhu.
I'd like to say about Govindesh Prabhu that even after making many mistakes, he has always forgiven me and given me a chance to continue in this very wonderful association.
Very compassionate. Ribo. Good. Anyone else? Yes.
I want to say about Arjun Sagar Prabhu because his smile is so amazing. Whenever I see him, because of his smiling, I feel like something is wrong today.
Ribo. Yeah, devotees is always happy. So, anyone else? Yes.
Saying about Swami, I felt like before I didn't know anything much about Swami. They say Swami is coming, Swami is coming. But today, whole day morning, I saw you classes and feel like I'm really talking to God in person. I felt that way. I was thinking, while the class was going, I was thinking in my heart like that.
Okay, thank you. Let's exclude me for tonight. We have so many devotees in here. But thank you. Yes. Anyone else?
I know Madhavita, she is very good Kirtan, some nuggets and Kirtan she does, and this
Ribo. Thank you. Yes.
I want to say about Karunanidhi Prabhu, though such a senior devotee in the congregation, but he sets an example of a humble devotee, sincere, and always in a serving mood, respecting devotees. And many lot to learn from Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Ribo. Thank you.
I would like to say thank you to Adi Purush Prabhu. He's always been supportive and like a prop, and it's like he's so patient with your all the things around you. So very thankful for his support.
Ribo. Yes.
I would like to say thank you to Matsya Mataji. She always inspires me to read books, So make some time for reading.
Ribo. Very important.
I fully support what Benjamin said for Adipurush. Very sincere and well balanced.
Ribo.
So I would like to say about Mahalakshmi Mataji, how she is doing the book distribution every day. Almost she's the number one, I think, in Melbourne doing the book distribution here. So thank you to
Ribo.
I'd like to mention something about the beautiful, wonderful soul next to me, Aditi Vajari. Like even looking at her, you get energized, and the service attitude she has, like even a 10% of it, if I get it, I'll be very, very, very fortunate to have that sort of service attitude.
Ribo.
I wanted to say
Haribo.
Find it difficult to pick up one person, really. When I see each and everyone's face, I have so much that I can say. Everyone is really, really motivating, very inspiring.
Haribo. Yes?
I'd like to say for Vasudha Priya Mataji because no matter any situation, she remains calm. She never gets angry. I don't think I've ever seen her get angry. She always remains calm. She's very, very humble.
Haribo.
I just wanted to appreciate Jared for his wonderful service in Crossways, his excellent musical skills, the way he uses that to get people to listen to Krishna, and then his wonderful attempt towards world peace and thinking globally, just globally.
And he always look happy. Haribo. Good. Anyone else? Yes, Jared.
I have to send the appreciation right back to you as well. I think, honestly speaking from my heart, I think you have the most pure heart I've ever come across. Speaking from my heart.
Haribo. All right. Yes.
Yeah, I would say, like, thank you so much for today. Every time I go, like, really late here, sometimes I arrive at 9, he's always there doing so much service. He's always there cleaning, and, like, I really think, like, he does a really great job in, like, yeah, splendid devotional service. So, yeah.
Haribo.
I would like to say thank you to Paran Brahma Prabhu. He really helps me a lot and he really motivates me. So, yeah, it's really helpful. He always motivates me.
Haribo. Haribo.
I want to do something about Manmohan. He's very sincere and
Haribo.
I'm here because of Prasad Prabhu. He asked me to come for the class. He has infinite potential and genuine and genius. Amazing. So, all the words to him.
Haribo. Right.
I would like to say something about William. Even though he's started coming here quite recently, but the amount of genuine curiosity he has and also the amount of service that he's doing is really inspiring. So, yeah.
Haribo.
I want to say about Prakash Prabhuji also because I never attended Mangal Aarti and Guru Vandana, but he actually pulled me from the house, come. So I would like to say thank you to him.
Haribo. Good.
we have Karnanji Prabhu, very humble, gentle, determined, and enthusiastic.
Haribo. Right. Okay. Yes.
In general, like, when I come here, I feel like it's a mini Vaikuntha here. Like, everybody is dressed up so nicely. It feels like amazing place.
Haribo.
All the congregation in Melbourne is extremely good, specifically management, the preachers, the cooks, the pujaris, and all the congregation members are extremely good and cooperative here.
Everyone's covered. Haribo. Good. All right. Yes.
I want to say about Shiva Prabhu. He is very kind and down to earth and very helpful.
Haribo. Yes.
Yeah, like Felix said, I've been here for like a really short period of time, and I just wanted to say thank you to all the brahmacharis here and so many other devotees because without them, I don't think I would have been able to try to get deeper into like Krishna consciousness. So I think, yeah, many devotees here like surprises me day after day. So thanks to all of them.
Haribo. All right, yes.
About Gopavrinda Prabhu, erudite scholar, educationist, and sincere devotee and very humble.
Haribo.
I'm really inspired by all the kids, like such a young age, that determination and dedication towards all this.
All the kids, ki jai. Yes, quite an interesting feature of Melbourne Temple. Many serious young Vaishnavas. All right, thank you. And let me see how that made you feel. Good. And one thing I would like to address, it's a kind of myth which is very widespread. And the myth, I'm sure many of you heard that or even share that myth. And the myth is that you should not speak too nicely about the devotee, otherwise, yes, the devotee might get puffed up, right? So that's the theory. Okay, let me check right here. How many of you have been personally appreciated by some devotee in this room? Please raise your hands if you have been appreciated. If someone spoke nicely about you, okay? No, yes, about you. That someone spoke about you. Please raise your hands one more time. Okay, good. Now, just for the sake of experiment, we want only those who were personally spoken about, right? Okay, so now, those who raised their hand, those who were spoken about personally, please raise your hands if you were thinking while you've been appreciated. Oh yeah, thanks, my God, finally. Someone recognized my glory. Please raise your hand if you felt like this. You can see? Okay, now, please raise your hand if you were thinking in your mind while you have been appreciated that actually I have many things to improve, I have many things to work on, and the devotees are just very kind and inspiring, but I know that I'm not so good. Please raise your hand if you felt like this. Okay, so what is the conclusion? That this theory is not confirmed. That actually it might be so if you flatter somebody, if you don't speak from your heart. But if you appreciate genuinely devotee from the heart, rather than making the devotee puffed up, what it does, it makes the devotee humble, genuinely humble, and genuinely introspective. So it is very helpful, very healthy to genuinely appreciate the devotees. And we can see that this is entire parampara exemplified that, right? Lord Chaitanya, it says that when he was glorifying his devotees, it seemed like he had 10 mouths, right? And Srila Prabhupada was always appreciating his disciples, individually and collectively, so therefore it is very helpful. Of course, we should not strive to be appreciated ourselves, but it is very important that we give genuine appreciation to other devotees. Yeah? So, okay, let's give few more minutes if anyone wants to say or ask anything on the topic, and we'll move to something else connected to our theme. So everything is clear. Yeah, okay. And now It is also important to recognize your potential, and this potential is, of course, manifested in certain blessings from Krishna. As we understand, it is very rare for someone to take up to Krishna consciousness, to devotional service, and it's very special blessing. And actually, there are two attitudes which can affect our Krishna consciousness. One is mundane, materialistic attitude, and one is devotional attitude. And materialistic attitude is desiring some material results from our devotional service.
Profit, relations.
Yeah, some material desires, aspiration to fulfill our material desires by Krishna consciousness, and this is very well connected to what we've discussed yesterday. Two mentalities. One is abundance mentality, and the other one is scarcity mentality. So which one you think is more conducive to Krishna consciousness, abundance or scarcity? Abundance, yeah. And so that should also help us to practice that. And so what should be our motivation in Krishna consciousness? That instead of trying to get something from Krishna in exchange for our service, that's materialistic mentality, right? What Prahlad Maharaj speaks of as business exchange, right? Our mentality should be one of gratitude. Attitude of gratitude is very important. And attitude of gratitude means I have already got so much from Krishna, directly or indirectly. And instead of trying to get something more, I should rather do something for Krishna just to thank him, just to express my appreciation for so many wonderful things I have received from Krishna already in this lifetime, right? So that's real devotional attitude. And in order to have that attitude, it's important to recognize what have you got in this lifetime, what kind of blessings you gained, right? From your birth, and especially from your spiritual practices, from association with devotees, right? And so I wanted you to do another exercise, which is very popular, by the way, and very effective. And technically it's called Count Your Blessings. And so you can, again, in pairs, share what are the blessings you've got in this lifetime. And blessings can manifest in forms of certain achievements Krishna, Guru, Vaishnavas allowed you to have in this lifetime, certain skills and qualities you have, and certain skills and abilities and qualities which are the basis of everything. Okay? And so, question?
As you said, attitude of gratitude, can we ask Lord to give us prema? Prema Pumartho Mahan.
Actually, it's very interesting because it is said by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, we already have it, but we need to cultivate it. It's actually, this is what practicing devotional service means. All of you already have love for Krishna. You might not feel it because, really feel it, because it's not yet ripened. Prabhupada was giving example, green mango and ripened mango. But even green mango is still mango. So you just need to give it little time to ripen. And that's why you might say, love of God, pure love of God, definitely. Like comparing to Lord Chaitanya, how he showed how much love for Krishna he had. I cannot say that I'm anywhere near or pure devotees. But do we have appreciation for Krishna? Yes, how many of you have appreciation for Krishna? How many of you like Krishna? So that's the beginning of love. That's green mango. And so it's actually up to us. And how do we make this mango ripen? How do we achieve higher levels of love for God? What's the process? Yes, devotional service. And so how do we motivate ourselves for devotional service? By attitude of gratitude. Instead of thinking, what else do I want to get from Krishna? Think, I've already got so much, and let me do something in exchange, right? Okay, so is that clear, the task? Yeah?
But we feel we are too far off it. Prema is very high thing, very.
Yeah. But we can feel like this, but it doesn't really matter. As long as you're happy in Krishna consciousness, that's all what is required to continue the process. So, if the task is clear, please get back into pairs and share your blessings, or tell each other what are the blessings you got. Someone else doesn't have a pair. You can sit with Dhruva Prabhu if you want. One more. This is for you then. Finished. Okay, those who haven't finished have another minute and we should be finishing soon. So everyone's finished? Okay. So, let me see. You got any realizations from that? No realizations. So, anyone wants to share? Did it make any difference for you? Yes.
We want service from Krishna.
Very good. Desire for service. Anyone else? Yes.
Devotees appreciate the blessings given by Srila Prabhupada in the form of books, deities, and also devotional association.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the very biggest blessing for all of us.
Sure. Yes. Many blessings we've got. Yeah. Helped you to feel abundance rather than scarcity? Yes? Good. So, anything else? Any other realizations? Yes, Adipurush Prabhu.
We don't have enough time to talk about it.
Hmm?
We don't have enough time to talk.
Okay. A lot of blessings, not enough time. Very good. Yeah.
Blessings are in abundance.
Yeah, devotees are very opulent. They have many blessings. All right. Okay, let me ask you, how many of you felt that I have so much I got from Krishna, and I should really be doing much more for Krishna that I'm doing now? Anyone felt like this? Okay, very good. And now, finally, we'll address that point, is that what is it that you could be doing for Krishna? And we kind of promised last time, if you remember, that we'll be helping you to define your nature, even though it might be very mixed, right? And very difficult to define, but we'll give you an easy tool to define your nature. Yes? So that's little unusual approach, not very customary, but nevertheless, it seems to be supported by Prabhupada books, by Vedic literature, that our natures are connected to some natures of other species of life. It might be animal or bird or even some insect. And I'll give you a few examples that just to help you understand the concept. For example, starting from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is addressing Arjuna as Purusha Vyagra. What's the meaning of Purusha Vyagra? Anyone remembers? Yeah, tiger amongst men. So Krishna is comparing Arjuna to a tiger because Arjuna is a Kshatriya. And if you think of a tiger and Kshatriya, very similar natures, right? And you have something important you're discussing? Haribo. And you also can read in Bhagavatam that devotees are compared to a certain type of bird. Which bird? Swan. Yes. And materialists are compared to crows. Yes. And also materialists are compared to certain type of insect, which is flies. And devotees are compared to bees. So there are many examples like that. Also, interestingly enough, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu or Nectar of Devotion, acharyas are compared, devotional service is compared to the ocean, and acharyas are compared to sharks. Very heavy comparison, right? Shark. But yeah, sharks, actually Krishna says of the fishes, I'm shark, because sharks are special fishes. Anyway, we can see that certain natures are compared to the natures of certain other species of life. So, on this basis, if I ask you, or if you ask yourself this very interesting question, what kind of animal I am? And it's actually not an intellectual quest. It's something you know already in your heart. And basically speaking, the very first animal which pops up, that's the right answer. And so that animal can very easily define your inner nature, the nature you've been born with, and can help you to understand how to use that nature perfectly in devotional service. Yeah, is it helping? No. What, you can't find the animal? Or this animal does not exist amongst 8,400,000 species? So, if I ask you what are the strong or positive qualities of that animal, and what are the shortcomings of the animal. And any animal has some positive qualities. Like, if you start going, mental about it, this animal, I feel like that, but I don't want to be like that because it's not prestigious. I like to be a lion, but dog comes to my mind. Right? I don't want to have nature of the dog. But it's not I want, I don't want. It's something you are born with. It's your nature. It's who you are. And it's actually not better or worse than anyone else's nature, because every nature has certain advantages. Like dog, for example. Chanakya Pandit says that dogs have certain amazing qualities which nobody has. No other animal has. What are the amazing qualities of the dog? Loyalty to the master, right? And that's why Prabhupada says our neck beads are like dog's collar. So we want to be dogs of the spiritual master. So it's very good, Dog means, if you think of a dog, that means you are very loyal. That's perfect. What else can you dream of, being loyal to Krishna and Guru and Vaishnavas, right? That's why, who says that? One of the acharyas says that, Amito Kukur, Vaishnava Thakur, Amito Kukur, right? Vaishnava, you are my master and I want to be your dog. So yeah, dogs are very loyal. Any other amazing quality of the dog? Huh? Yes, dogs are always alert. Cats, you can see they can go into slumber. It's very hard for them to wake up. But dogs, they can wake up in a split of a second. Always alert. Yes. Any other good quality of a dog?
Enthusiastic and energetic.
Yes. Actually, one very powerful quality of a dog, that dogs can be satisfied with very little. no matter how you treat the dog will never be, will never become, will never hold grudge, right? Can very easily oversee all the difficulty, all the problems, etc. Always positive, always wagging the tail. No matter how bad the day is, can always wag the tail. So yes, in the same way, every species of life have positive quality, and so it's just to focus on the positive and use it in Krishna's service. And then whatever shortcomings are there, you just have to be mindful of those, right? And work on those. So is it helping? Yeah. Everyone could, we won't be, checking on you. That's something for you to be mindful of and working on, right? And so then the ultimate question is, if that animal has mission, top mission, what that mission would be, right? All right. Any questions? That was very unusual exercise, right? Yes.
What if we identify ourselves when you say, think of an animal, and you identify yourself with a very different nature of who you are now?
Very different nature.
Yeah, so in my mindset comes some animal, but then I look at me right now, and I feel like I nowhere resemble to that animal.
Well, it could be two things. Either you are not acting to your nature, or you have been very, mental or speculative about defining the animal, because, as we said, the very first intuitive feeling which comes is the right one, not the one you rationalized. Okay, I want to be this animal, so how can I be this animal? No, it doesn't work like that. It's not intellectual exercise.
Yes, some animal came in, I tried to remove it, doesn't go, so it's still there. So
That means you're not acting according to your nature. You're trying to be somebody else, and that possibly can cause problems. Because this is what Bhagavad Gita does not recommend, that we imitate others. Bhagavad Gita strongly recommends that we should be ourselves. We should be who we are. Understand our position and use our position in the service of the Lord. And no position is bad. And Prabhupada speaks about it in other purports. Because, if you rationalize, you think, Brahmana position and Brahmana occupation is the best, right? I want to be Brahmana. And what's the worst? Shudra, right? I don't want to be Shudra. But then if you think about it, historically, and Shudra means serving others, right? And for example, entertainment, music, singing, sorry Jared, we give this example, falls into that Shudra occupation, right? Because you entertain public. And so if you think about it historically, one Shudra has done more preaching in ISKCON, powerful preaching in ISKCON, and helped to spread Krishna consciousness worldwide to millions of people, more than all the Brahmanas and sannyasis in ISKCON put together. What's his name? George Harrison, right? So that shows that no occupation is disadvantageous. No nature is disadvantageous if you actually use it properly in Krishna consciousness, it can do miracles. Yeah? It's helping to understand. Good. So, it's very important point. Krishna consciousness is not about prestige. That should be very clear. Because as long as we're hunting for prestige, we will always run in trouble. But if we actually understand ourselves and act according to our nature, that's all what it takes to become Krishna conscious. Yes. Adipurja Prabhu.
How do we identify whether we are looking at our conditioned nature or actual original? So we're talking about stick to your conditioned nature, or I'm very confused with you're asked to identify with the varna that you're in. That's your conditioning. But we are always taught that you're eternal servant of Krishna, that's your constitution. So
How this match? Yes, that's why.
Can I add something to the same question I was thinking of asking? Sometimes you can be, you know, like the way you say, Vaishya, or your nature. If you are not strong in any nature, if you are avoiding everything, how do you talk?
Avoiding everything.
No, the nature. If you are not strong in any nature, and we are averaging everything, we are moderating everything.
How it is possible not to have any nature?
There are people like that, right? They can do everything, but they are not expert in anything.
Not expert in anything?
Anything, but they can do everything moderately.
Still, they must have some nature. You know, how this is possible that we don't have any nature? But in terms of conditioned nature and eternal nature, that's a very good question. And actually, I think this is very important to understand that in order to realize our eternal nature as Krishna's servants, and of course our service in the spiritual world, which is the topmost perfection, we need to start with who we are here, who we are now, and how can we use our nature perfectly in the service of the Lord. And that will help us to become purified of our conditioning. This is the way. If you use your conditioning in Krishna's service, that in itself helps you to become free from the conditioning and become liberated. Yes? Thank you. All right. Any other questions? Yes.
How would you suggest to work towards your nature?
To work towards?
Towards your nature.
Towards our nature. How do we work towards our nature? Well, we don't need to work towards our nature. We already have the nature. And so our task is how to engage our nature perfectly in the Lord's service. And unfortunately, we don't have more time, but there is much more to practice actually in terms of the self-discovery and realizing our mission. And it looks like we might have another spare night, right? On Tuesday, October 1st. It's not yet engaged. So, free night. Okay, so if all of you are interested, we could dedicate Tuesday night to continue on the subject, because there are many more practices we could be doing. So, everyone's interested? Yeah? Okay, we'll give Tuesday night to further the subject. And yes, there are certain things we could be doing to help us to discover ourselves, but we already have nature. And I think one thing which is very important is to become, as Prabhupada said, independently thoughtful. There is one very powerful letter Srila Prabhupada wrote to one of his disciples, I think Karandar. And he says, devotional service is meant to be ISV, individual, spontaneous, volunteer. Individual, spontaneous, and volunteer. And devotees are meant to be independently thoughtful. And so independently thoughtful means you do not allow any outside influences to dictate you, right? And so that's a very big problem in our lives, that circumstances and other people, they practically force us to act sometimes against our nature for the sake of some results or for the sake of prestige. We try to imitate something we are not or someone we are not. And so that's quite a problem. Conditioning, basically speaking, right? Because circumstances and people, they are creating conditioning. And we're already conditioned from the start. But our conditioning is given by Krishna. And so that conditioning can be used in Krishna's service. But if we allow other people or circumstances to further condition us, and they are not Krishna, because they are selfishly motivated. So if we fall under that influence, that creates a lot of problems. And basically speaking, you feel that you are in artificial position. And that's an indication that that has to change. I don't know if that makes any sense, but again, we'll be practicing more on Tuesday. Adipur Prabhu had another one.
You may address it on Tuesday. We mix it. Why not? Like one has both Brahminical and Kshatriya qualities.
I mean, if we have more time, I could be relating to Prabhupada's example, because he's like Prabhupada, he's perfect example for everything, even mixed nature. Because Prabhupada was born in Vaishya family, right? And because his family was Vaishnava family, Brahminical nature was also very strong. So mix of Vaishya and Brahmana natures, and from somewhere he got some mix of Kshatriya nature also, right? That's why he joined Gandhi's movement and etc., etc. So was saying that I want to conquer the world for Krishna, so I have this Kshatriya spirit. So three natures in one. So how can you engage, Vaishya with Kshatriya spirit and Brahminical qualities in the service of the Lord? That would be confusing. But if you think about it, that this was the only possible combination which allowed Srila Prabhupada to achieve what he achieved. Because Vaishya nature allowed him to approach very practically to introducing Krishna consciousness in the business world. Brahminical nature allowed him to write so many books and educate and train his disciples. And Kshatriya nature allowed him to endure unlimited challenges, right? So you can understand that only this combination of three natures in one man was, the only perfect combination allowing Srila Prabhupada to achieve what he achieved. So that's why I say that mixed nature is not a problem, but it could be actually a great advantage, which would allow you to succeed where other people, even with pure nature, would fail. Right? Yes, last one, and then we'll have to finish.
He was expert in cooking and too.
Well, cooking, that's Brahminical nature. Yeah, cooking, serving the deities, that's all Brahminical nature. Because he was not cooking for people, he was cooking for Krishna. So, alright, so we'll pause here until Tuesday. Thank you all very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.